Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm going to discuss a prophetic dream that I had that dealt with the Illuminati and Christians and prophets that are in the wealth transfer movement. Now, with this prophetic dream, I do not take this lightly. I had this dream back in February of 2024, and as we come upon our year anniversary of this prophetic dream, I wanted to share it. I've shared this with my Patreon members. I've shared this with the people that are in my groups months ago. And with some people, I shared the dream several months after I had it. Now, this prophetic dream deals with what's taking place right now within the wealth transfer group and within the Christian prophetic community. And we are seeing exposures happening and taking place. And I believe that this is the time for me to discuss this prophetic dream for the simple fact of some of the things that have been going on. We see Christopher Reed got exposed, him and all his false prophecies. And then we saw Sean Bowles. He's doing the same thing and been doing it for a long time. And then we have what's going on with Joni Lamb and Daystar and all these other ministries that have been covering up these people giving false prophecies. And they have admitted to covering up these false prophecies, right? Because they don't want to hurt the prophetic community. But that's not how God works. The prophetic community itself is being deceived. And you're going to see a lot more exposure coming because there's going to come a time when they come after everyone. So I'm going to share the dream, and then I'm going to go over what the revelation God gave me and from other people who helped me interpret this prophetic dream. So this is the prophetic dream. I was living in a massive apartment complex with other people. There was someone of a blank descent, a YouTuber in the wealth transfer whom I knew but not well, but thought we were developing a good friendship like brothers. He then tried to convince me to join the Illuminati, and I refused. We got into a physical fight, but it seemed like we did because I remember him laying on the ground holding his face. The person got angry and told me the Illuminati would come after me because I refused. Now, I was outside the complex, and Idris Elba and a few other people approached me, and I knew they were from the Illuminati. Idris handed me 8 screws that belonged to a big window in my apartment. I threw some of the screws back at him. He turned around and said, "Don't do that," and he and the others walked away back towards to the apartment complex. I realized that they were not after me, and him giving me the screws to my window of my apartment meant that someone had unscrewed them so the Illuminati would have access to my apartment. Back inside the apartment, there was chaos as it seemed like the Illuminati were coming after other people in the apartment complex, but no one was coming after me. So I saw people being chased down in this apartment complex. So I'm going to go over a few things and what this prophetic dream means. Okay, now living in a massive apartment complex with other people, knowing that there are other people that are involved in the wealth transfer that are living there, I believe that this is a host to the prophetic realm, or people who speak prophetically or talk about the prophetic, and it's all interconnected with each other. And this particular YouTuber that was there, being in this apartment complex suggests that this is a community. We have shared experiences, and everything is interconnected when it comes to the prophetic and the financial realm and everything else. So I thought that we were developing a friendship like brothers, right? But then he had ulterior motives of why he was trying to be my friend. And that's one of the reasons why I'm very careful about who I speak to, whose emails I respond to, and everything else. Because, folks, I get a lot of emails, and it's to the point to where I don't even pay attention to the emails anymore because I get so many dreams sent to me, and a lot of these dreams are not from God. So this ended up being a physical fight between me and this YouTuber that's in the wealth transfer. Now, I will say this, that the YouTuber could mean maybe just a figure of influence, not necessarily a specific YouTuber. But if I had to guess of who it is, well, I'm not going to tell you. So when he tried to convince me to join the Illuminati, I believe this was something that happened a while ago. Right? I'm not going to pinpoint the time period, but there was a time period in my life where I used to follow all these inaccurate prophets, the Hank Kunnemans and the Robin Cunninghams, and chasing after this dream or that prophetic dream when they were all lying in God's name. When it comes to meeting Idris, I'm not saying he is part of the Illuminati, but he is an authority figure in the pop culture. Now, I believe the screws are like the word of God that hold in the prophetic, right? So if I had 8 screws that were taken out, this person that I had trusted when I wasn't looking was taking out these screws, right? And now I believe that happened years ago, right? When I was believing in all those false prophets. So the screws meant security and stability. Holding in the window was a huge window, so I believe that represents the prophetic, seeing out into the prophetic. When I look out the window, this big window, I could see a lot, right? And the screws that were being taken out, the intent was to take out the screws, and then they would be able to come into my apartment and come after me. So they weren't after me, and people don't understand that if you keep falsely prophesying in God's name, you use his name in vain, and you bear false witness against God, and you keep doing it over and over again, these are the people that are subjecting themselves to the judgment of God, not necessarily death, because I've never called death upon people, and I wish no harm to anyone. I'm just upset that these people are doing this. Not like other people who want to call out death upon people that are within the wealth transfer. Now, when I threw some of the screws back at him and he turned around and said what he said, me doing that was just angry at the Illuminati in general, right? Didn't have anything to do with him specifically. That's what that basically meant. But at the same time, I misunderstood why he was giving me the screws back. Okay? So there's going to be some aspect in my life that where everything is going to be put back together the way it was. And that has been happening over time, but not fully. Because, folks, this channel, what I do here, I receive a lot of hate. My channel has been restricted. They've removed videos. You guys have no idea. As long as I've been doing this, they have been hurting my channel for the longest time. There were many battles that I had to fight going back to 2018. Remember, some of you remember that, how many times I was restricted and everything else. Now, me refusing the invitation to the Illuminati, and I'm going to call them the Christian Illuminati. That's a term that Marcus Rogers has been using lately, and so I think I'm going to hold on to that. But obviously, I'm not going to be that type of person to promote all these inaccurate prophets. I don't expect every prophet to be perfect, but I expect them to be somewhat accurate. Just like with teaching the Bible, right? I can't find anybody that I agree with 100%. So I have to give grace for teachers, because that means if you teach one thing that's false, maybe you misinterpreted the Hebrew, or you're just using the English translation. So I do give grace to teachers, and I do give grace to prophets. But that doesn't mean that people like Julie Green, who has over 200 verified failed prophecies, many of you know them, or people like Brandon Biggs, who's got so many prophecies wrong, he has yet to get one financial prophecy right. Not one, folks, and he's been doing this for the last couple years. I'm not going to join that group. That's what that meant. Inviting me to sit there and promote all these people who are falsely prophesying. I could easily do that, just like the dinar. I could sit here and pump you guys up. Oh, it's getting ready to happen. My inside intel, like some of those people who follow the dinar gurus, and you hold on to every single word from their basement prophet, right? You got some guy sitting in a basement on his computer pretending like he's the inside intel, deceiving everybody that's in the dinar community. And a perfect example of that is Melanie Hines, who she doesn't even know who the inside intel people are, but she's telling you dates and time frames, and it's going to happen here, it's going to happen there. And she claims to be prophetic and all this stuff. So I didn't want to be a part of that. It's tempting. Oh yeah, I could do this and have 50,000 views per video or even more and blow up my channel, but I don't care about any of that. And that's what people have to understand. I don't care what people think. Fact is fact. If somebody gives a prophecy with a date and time period and it doesn't come to pass, then it is not from God. It's not that hard. Deuteronomy 18:21 verse 22 says that if you say in your heart, if you want to know if the word is from the Lord, And if it does not come to pass, then you know that it's not from the Lord. So you have all these people that are making all these false prophecies, and they've been doing it for years. And this guy telling me that the Illuminati is going to come after me, when in fact, they're coming after everybody else, including him. And God is allowing the adversary to release the orders of Operation Cinder. So you're going to see fire and God using these people to judge these prophets who are doing this. In Jeremiah 14:14, and it says, "And the Lord said to me, the prophets prophesied lies in my name. I have not sent them, nor commanded them, nor spoken to them. They prophesied to you a false vision, divination, a worthless thing, and the deceit of their heart." And so how many times have these prophets failed? A whole bunch of people got wrecked, including myself. And I was responsible for the people that were under this channel. And that's why I don't rely on prophecy like that anymore. Because there's so many lies out there. Look what happened in 2022. The Camille Hedricks, and the Kent Christmases, and the Robin Cunninghams, and the Chris Reeds, and the Bo Ponies, and the Julie Greens, and the Manuel Johnsons, and all these failed prophecies. You know, and that's why now I have developed strong convictions. And so, yes, it would have been easy for me just to pump and promote all the things that all these other people do. You know, all this does is hurt people, folks, because when you promote a prophet and then they see a video that pops up in their feed that somebody else highlighting all their false prophecies, guess what? That person's faith is now wrecked because they once believed in those people, just like I did. When I saw what Hank Kuhneman was doing, when I saw what Robin Cunningham was doing, and many others that was misleading people. So my question is lying in God's name a sin anymore? Because wasn't it a sin in the Old Testament? Jeremiah 14:14 says, "And the Lord said to me, these prophets prophesied lies in my name. I have not sent them." Okay, so these people, when their prophecies fail, they are prophesying lies in God's name. You know how you know that they're doing it over and over again? And one of the things is that they never repent for their false prophecies. Tommy O'Reilly just had this massive failure of America eating bugs. It'll be in the restaurants and on the menus, and we'll be eating bugs like it's going to be normal. That was a curse, not a prophecy. And you guys don't understand that. That was a lie in God's name. And these prophets, and it's not just prophets, but dreamers and stuff like that who are trying to take advantage of people in the wealth transfer, you are giving permission. When the adversary goes to the courts of God and says, these people here are lying in your name, they are taking your name in vain, and they are bearing false witness on you. Once that builds up to a certain point, then that's when you have given permission to the enemy to come wreck your ministry, wreck your life, and everything else. For them to give me back the screws was respect. And I didn't respect that, okay, when he told me not to do that. I would assume if the dream hadn't ended, of course, I'm going to pick up the screws and put them back into the window, so my window is secure. But for everybody else, it was too late. And this is a prophetic warning to those who keep doing this. So we're seeing chaos right now. Chris Reed, Sean Bowles, Joni Lamb, and Daystar, and many others are being exposed for the cover-up of all the false prophecies and hurting people and wrecking people. And because I made the right decision, they're not going to come after me. They're going to come after them. And so the testing of your values and integrity is important in this, because if you follow some of these people and you use and confirm your dreams and visions and all this stuff, you know, you're already in a bad spot, in a bad place. And you're going to wreck yourself and the people that follow you. While I stand there and watched all these people being hunted down, these people were being hunted down because of the consequences of their false prophecies over and over and over again. And I wasn't pursued. I haven't been perfect, but I don't sit there and say, God said, God said, God said, God said, and put a show on for you guys like many of the others do. And for those of you who are seeing in the prophetic, what happened in the prophetic dream was a breach of security. it was compromised when it comes to these prophets. And I'm no longer doing that. I may not agree with the people that I believe that are prophets. I may not agree with all of their teachings. But like I said before, I don't agree with a lot of people's teachings. There are people that call out false teachers all the time, but then they're not even using the Hebrew or the Greek to back themselves up. And so that's why I had to step away. You guys know there have been different time periods why I stepped away. And there is a lack of trust and manipulation within the wealth transfer. I have a lot of heat that comes on me. I have people saying I can't talk about the prophets and all this stuff. It's a fact that these people are doing this. It's a fact that they give dates and time frames. It's a fact that they say these events are going to happen and then they don't. But you know what the newest thing is? And Brandon does this. He prophesizes some big major event that's supposed to happen and then he prays it away. And he's got you agreeing with it. If you agree with a prophet in any prayer and he's lying in the name of Jesus, okay, this is what's going to happen. He that receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. So listen to this, folks. When you receive a false prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a false prophet's reward. Okay, and this is what I'm saying. You are going to receive their reward. And it's not going to be good. All of these guys have made multiple false prophecies going back to the financial realm, to the return of Trump, all these different events, world events with other countries and nations and kings. All of them have failed. And yet, these people are supposed to be prophets. You're going to receive their reward. I'm going to continue to stay vigilant. And I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. And people will say, well, how come you keep talking about these guys? Well, because they're prophesying in the wealth transfer. You guys come to me and send me their videos. Well, Manuel Johnson said this, or Robin Cunningham said this, or Brandon said this, or Hank said this, or Kent Christmas said this, or Troy Black said that. So I'm going to deal with it. Because they are prophesying in the wealth transfer. Most of these people weren't even around when we started talking about the wealth transfer. Isn't that crazy? Brandon Biggs has a lot of prophecies. He says this person, MBS from Saudi Arabia, is the Antichrist, right? And this guy, Yusuf, is the false prophet, which doesn't line up with the Bible at all. But you know what, folks? One of the things that I learned, did you know that Christians, these big preachers, when Jimmy Carter was president, they were calling him the Antichrist because they wanted Reagan to win. Reagan won. Guess what? There was a large group of Christians who thought Ronald Reagan was the Antichrist. And then it was Bush. And then it was Clinton. And then it was Bush again. And then Obama. And now Trump. This is how much the prophetic community is off. They don't even study the book of Revelation. They don't even study the characteristics of the Antichrist. You just believe because Julie Green said Obama was the Antichrist? That's false. When it comes to prophecy, if I tell you that this person's prophecy didn't come to pass, that's not a false accusation. That's the truth. All of these people prophesying the dinar revaluation in certain time periods, all this stuff. When of you guys are going to wake up? Because I don't want you guys receiving their reward. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to invest in anything that I invest. And I'm just glad that I didn't get caught up in this mess. I could have got caught up with all these people and made excuses for these people, like some people do all the time. So this is a warning to the prophetic community, especially those that are in the wealth transfer. You've been prophesying about the wealth transfer falsely, and your time is coming. Don't be surprised if you have people on the inside who wake up and they start recording these guys and they start exposing these people from the inside. You want to talk about doctrine of demons and devils? All of them failed. How you feel when people lie in God's name, or they take his name in vain, or they bear false witness on God. In Matthew 7:15, Jesus said, "Beware false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raving wolves." You're not supposed to recognize a false prophet. When you see a prophet, he's going to come like a Christian. He's going to come like a real prophet. It seems like his prophecies are coming to pass. It seems like what he's saying is good. It seems like what he's teaching is good. But then you know what? They always make mistakes because their prophecies can't stand. They will eventually fail. He or she might get some right to make it seem like they're a prophet, but eventually, like all these others, when their prophecies fail, when Brandon came on the scene and he captivated the world, not one financial prophecy came to pass. So if you want to keep believing in those people, that's fine. I don't do it in my group. I don't do it on this channel. And I hope to God that you don't receive their reward. God is allowing all this that's happening in the prophetic realm. Most of it is getting ready to come to an end. Then guess what? The adversary can start all over again. He'll pick new people. That's all that I have for this today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless.